People loved Phil. The staff loved Phil.
For 19 years, Phil MacAulay poured his heart into Calgary's Royal Canadian Legion Number 1 as president. He believed veterans deserved respect and that the Legion should always be there for them. Phil passed away on June 11th, just weeks before Canada Day.
Everybody's reaching out to check how I am and if everything's okay for Phil. So, yeah, I'm grateful to the province. I'm grateful to everybody that they could see Phil now. How I've always known Phil to be.
Today, Legion 1 needs major repairs, and a Canada Day fundraiser hopes to preserve one of Calgary's most important historic gathering places where veterans found companionship after war and families created memories for generations.
It's significant to all of us. Everybody somewhere in their family has had somebody that served. And this is why Number 1 Legion is important.
This is the place that Susan and Phil met. It's where Susan's parents came with their friends. It continues to be a venue for Sled Island Music Festival and for weddings. This isn't just a story about bricks and mortar, it's a story about service, sacrifice, and community.
He was president for 19 years. He he did everything. Like, he got people involved. He was a great person. I don't know what to say. You know, he was a strong force behind here. When he retired 2 years ago, and up until this year, he was here two, three times, four times a week. Depends on what was going on. You know, he helped with all the functions, outside functions, Sled Island, darts, crib, you name it. Phil was involved. He was also a deputy district commander for District 9, so that meant he worked with, 18 other legions. So, yeah, he was very legion, like common man, but very legion. And when kids were young, he was involved in everything they did. So, yeah, volunteerism for him has been 37 years. He was with the Navy, Royal Canadian Navy, RCN. He was in for 3 years, and they didn't put him on a ship, so he got out, and him and 9 of his friends in Cape Breton, they had straws, and whoever ended up with the short straw is where they decided to go, and they came to Calgary.
Oh.
That's how he arrived here. So,
From Cape Breton.
why was he so legion? Because somebody had to keep this place going. He believed in veterans wholeheartedly. He believed that veterans should be treated with respect, but he also believed that everybody else should be treated with respect. But Phil just felt at home here. Phil was raised by his aunt because his father and grandfather died in a boating accident while his mother was pregnant. So his aunt and uncle and raised Phil. Yeah, his his 2 aunts and his uncle raised Phil in Sydney, and then when he was 13, he went to go back to live with his mother, and eventually he just stayed in Cape Breton with his aunt, and yeah. So his dad was a chemist.
Oh.
So yeah, Phil just decided that he was joining the Navy because there wasn't much work in Cape Breton either, so it was either the mines or whatever, and he decided on the Navy. People loved Phil. The staff loved Phil. His vice president loved Phil. Everybody loved Phil. Like, he said what he had to say and put his point across, and then he was fine.
What made him so humble? Why was it? What was it?
I have no idea. Let me tell you, he just had that way. You could argue with him, and you would get your point, and then he'd say to you, "Now, do you feel better?" No, you were supposed to argue back here, but yeah, Phil never argued with over very much, unless when he believed in it. Let me tell you, he could get his point across really well. He could see how you were feeling, and yeah. It's just really hard for me to tell you about Phil because to me he was just Phil. You know, like just the way he was. He had a good laugh. Everybody loved him. And he's really messed around here because he'd be here today setting shit up for Stampede. He'd be here for Canada Day, you know. And that's why he passed on the 11th. My daughter thought I was nuts because I said we have to get through Sled Island, we have to get through Canada Day, we have to get through Stampede. This is what he would want, and then we'll deal with his service. You know, it wasn't to drag it out or anything. It was, he was regimented. This, and this.
Well, just being practical.
Yeah.
This is what has to be done for the
That's right. We have to do this because this is what we've set in stone.
We don't have time for no service.
Nope. No time for a service. He'd be having a fit right now anyways about people talking about him because he was so humble. Like, he did what he did because he did what he did. You know, he didn't do it for public display or pats on the back or kudos from this or that. And to know that he went to the House of Commons, that just touches us. Like Greg McLean went down to the House of Commons and spoke on Phil. And yeah, that just touched my family. Because, you know, even our command president sent an email out to drop the flags to half-mast because he was a command officer, Phil was, because he was with as a deputy district commander. You know, so our command has been very good with me. You know, they reach out and check. Everybody's reaching out to check how I am and if everything's okay for Phil. So, yeah, I'm grateful to the province. I'm grateful to everybody that they could see Phil now. How I've always known Phil to be. The roof, the plumbing, we had a study done. There's a lot of work that needs to be done because this is an old building. You know, HVAC, the whole shebang. So, the significance of this building is it is not only just for veterans, but it's home to a lot of people. A lot of people have come through these doors. The Queen, Bob Hope, Bing Crosby. I don't know. There's a book out there with all kinds of names in it. You know, this has been the hub of Calgary. You know, you've got all your other Legion branches, but this has been a dominance one for many, many years. You know, I remember my parents coming here, so, you know.
Are you from Calgary?
Born and raised. Born
Were
and
your
raised.
parents?
My mother was born and raised. My mother was a member here. She was with the Ladies Auxiliary and with the branch.
Yeah.
My stepfather was a member here. My stepfather was PPCLI and he went to Korea. My mother was a Wren, but she never left Canadian soil. My brother, he was with the KOCR till he retired. So yeah, we have a lot of military. My brother's actually the past president here too.
Oh.
So we have a lot of. We grew up in this Legion, so
Yeah.
that's why it's important for at least me and my family because I grew up here.
Yeah.
My parents went here. We went to kids' Christmas parties. My kids went to Christmas parties here. Yeah, we went to the Sunday s'mores. Yeah, I grew up in this Legion.
This is home.
Yeah. Nope, this place is, as long as I'm here, or as long as I'm able to at least breathe, I will have a connection to this place. Both my kids are members here.
Yeah.
I'm a life member here. And I'm a life member to the Ladies Auxiliary. So the Legion is home. It's home to a lot of people. There were the Great War Veterans Association.
Yeah.
And I believe, now I don't know for sure, that the Legion was built for comradeship, for people to come to, because now you can deal with PTSD through doctors. But this was where all veterans, and it started just for veterans. And then they branched out to associates and branched out to affiliates. But without veterans, you're not going to have legions. And veterans are the important part. You can have all the associates and all the affiliates you want, but the veterans are the more important person out of a legion. And they're the ones that need to be respected. I remember, what was his name? Mr. Ward, Ethel Ward's husband. He used to come here, and he was a veteran, but he would always play the Nevadas, the poll tickets, and you couldn't walk up behind Vic, because if you did, he would jump right out of his skin from shell shock, as they called it. And so they've since moved and figured ways out. But the older veterans are the ones that really were, they didn't get the help. Not that I won't say anything bad about Veterans Affairs, but yeah, now they get better help because there's more ways to help and more. They never talked about what went on. You know, I remember hearing when my parents came. Well, when my stepdad came back from Korea, they were at the stampede and the fireworks went off and everybody went diving for, because they just thought of it as something else. But yeah, the only time like Wilf Camus would ever talk, he was a merchant marine, and Wilf would only talk about the war and stuff like that, was on Remembrance Day here. And he'd sit around, he'd talk about it, they'd all cry, and then the next day nobody talked about it again. So the more that people talk about it, the stories don't end. You can go back and, World War One is nobody's around now. World War Two, it's very limited. Korea, they need to keep things alive and start teaching it in school more and more, so then that way it stays alive. War is never going to go. It's never going to end. It's how we treat it and how things get put into place on how things are going to end up. And that's why there were so many alcoholics and stuff like that too. They'd come back and instead of dealing with it, they just used alcohol to deal with it. You know,
Yeah.
like Afghanistan. You know, my brother's been to Egypt and Germany and all over, but I think the hardest thing Ronald ever had to do was tell Nathan's parents, Nathan Hornsberg, that Nathan wasn't coming home.
Did?
Yeah, my brother had to go to his house and find his parents, and yeah. So even reservists that are still here, there's still stuff that goes on amongst them. So, yep, a lot of work to bring it back.
Happen here, but it's going to happen.
It'll
It has to
happen.
happen
It'll
because
take time. We've had the study of the building, and now we know what we need to do ahead of time, like in the period of time or whatever, and what are the crucial things and what can be put off, etc. So it'll just take time.
Yeah.
And if I die, then my kids will have to carry on the fight. So, we get people in on Fridays. We have 12 people that come faithfully every Friday. And as for the rest of the membership, they never come out. And I think that's downtown. Who wants to go downtown anymore? It's not safe downtown. And there's nothing left on this block. Because at one time you had the York, the Regis, the Calgarian Cups, etc. And, the Sand Store, the National, Bon Tom I'm old, was across the street. Now there's nothing. So once you leave Palomino's, we're the next thing, and then there's nothing till East Village. And it gets sketchy as you go along. So nobody wants to come downtown. Parking is atrocious. So, yeah, they're going to have to figure something out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do outside events, and that's what keeps it open for the 12 people to come in. Because without the outside events, this place is, yeah. It's the outside events that keep this place. Like we have darts during the fall, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then Friday, like during the summer when you should be busy, you're not busy. Yeah, we do a lot of weddings. Like we have things coming, but they're just not Legion things. And like this year, Legions are free to join for 2026. It has had an increase of people joining. So let's just hope that those people are still staying and joining because It's not just free, you know.
So anybody can join.
Anybody can join the Legion.
Any age? Or is it over
18 and up.
18 and up.
18 and up can
And
join.
membership fee, did you say? Or no?
Next year for 27, there would be a membership fee, but for 2026, it's all free. So everybody can join.
And
Still-
beer's still cheaper?
Bill is cheap. Beer is cheaper for the members. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Compared to somewhere else, beer here is $5.50. Drinks here are $5.50. If you go somewhere else, it's a little more than that. So the importance is, it's part of heritage. It is heritage. It's part of Calgary. We're a significant part of Calgary because this is where veterans came back when they tried to say, start a peace. So it's significant to all of us. Everybody somewhere in their family has had somebody that served. And this is why number 1 Legion is important. Well, even in 37 years, Dick Sadie used to sit there. Jack used to sit there. The wall used to be all full over there. The police used to come in here and have coffee and everything when they were over in the, back there at in the Davidson building. So yeah, Thursday used to be steak day. This floor used to be full from City Hall and everything else. John Gundy used to do the meat trust. So yeah, I can go back and name a lot of people. When someone dies and they have been, their favorite chair, we drape the chair and we put whatever they drank in front of it and leave it for the day. If they'd have kept the stories going, the stories could go on and on and on.